Hello everyone, hope you all doing well and welcome back to another vlog. Perhaps this happens to be one of the longest day of my life. The flight happens to be from San Francisco to Bengaluru and happens to be one of the longest flight operated by any commercial airline. The departure was roughly around 30 minutes past 8 Pacific Standard Time, and after a good rest of about 7 hours, I caught up, got ready and started running through my flight papers. In general, the route for intercontinental transoceanic flight is never fixed and it keeps changing. And there are different factors that decide the route on a particular day, the most important being the wind and the weather. Other aspects such as outside eye temperature, height of the tropopause, and airspace restrictions also attribute to this change. Based on these variables, we have three major routes. It could be transatlantic, it could be trans-Pacific. At times we take a northerly route flying pretty close to the North Pole. Each route has its own advantage and disadvantage. At times the flight time is less, at times we have to offload the payload, that is the passenger baggage and cargo. So the route that is being selected and flown has to be a balance between safety and commercial viability. But why would a commercial airline in business offload passenger baggage and cargo, hampering its own reputation? I'll get back to you on this in a while. That is, the route that is being selected has to be non-turbulent, making the passengers feel safe and comfortable with all their baggage and cargo on board, which when left behind had to be shipped separately, incurring additional cost to the company. This particular issue of passenger baggage and cargo being offloaded is quite specific to ultra-long-haul operations and seldom happens in European, Gulf and Far East sectors. Nevertheless, the airline always tries its level best to have each and every piece of passenger baggage and cargo on board unless it is technically restricted, about which I'll be discussing shortly when I'm doing my takeoff performance calculations. After an hour's drive through thick traffic, I reached the airport, checked in, and this particular issue regarding the offloading of payload is initially being discussed with the captain at the check-in counter by the commercial staff. Especially in this sector, this penalty is huge as it's a long flight and we need to carry lots of fuel, and you would have seen the discussion that had happened between me and the commercial staff to sort this issue out. After check-in, we head to the briefing center where we do a basic performance and takeoff speeds calculation about which I had spoken in this vlog. Now let me explain in a very simple and non-technical manner why passenger baggage and cargo is being offloaded, citing technical issues. For a particular flight on a particular day, the maximum takeoff weight is not fixed and it keeps changing depending upon the atmospheric conditions. For example, on this particular flight with existing atmospheric conditions, let's say my maximum permissible takeoff weight is 350,000 kgs, which includes passengers, passenger baggage, cargo containers, fuel, and my basic hydraulic fluids. As we all know, temperature is that one particular atmospheric parameter which changes rapidly, and by the time I reach the cockpit, and let's say the temperature has gone up by 1 degree. Now with this raise in temperature, my maximum permissible takeoff weight has become 345,000 kgs, which was initially 350,000 kgs. And to knock off this additional 5,000 kgs, I don't have a choice but to remove the cargo container or the passenger baggage. And as I was talking, I have reached the aircraft, and that is the compartment where I keep my luggage. And as you can see, it was a very long taxi for us. It took us anywhere between 35 to 40 minutes from the time we commenced a pushback till airborne. This additional taxi time gets added to your flight time, making it about 19 hours now. Again, it doesn't include the taxi time after landing into Bengaluru, which is roughly about 10 to 15 minutes. And now, in total, that makes it about 19 hours and 15 minutes approximately from the time you push back till the time you park. And not to forget, I reported 1 hour 30 minutes before pushback, and that roughly adds up to 20 hours and 45 minutes. Completely drained and exhausted, I was desperately waiting for my pickup, which was nowhere to be seen. As I was waiting, I really enjoyed the fresh air and the pleasant weather which I was really craving for, especially after being inside an enclosed capsule for about 21 hours. At times, under unforeseen circumstances like bad weather, considering passenger comfort being in service industry, we also tend to extend our permissible flight duty time after taking special dispensation from our regulator. It was around 30 minutes past 4 a.m. in the morning by the time I took my pickup, and I headed straight to the office to submit my post-flight documents. The drive was roughly for about 5 minutes, during which I completed my post-flight documentation. Apparently, the cabin crew was also supposed to report at the office to submit their post-flight documents, followed by a post-flight briefing session. Reached the terminal in about 7 minutes, slightly relaxed after inhaling some fresh air, started heading towards the first floor where my office is actually located. And it is now when the fatigue has actually started hitting me and I was desperate for some sound sleep. With no energy left, I dragged myself along with my luggage, handed over all the post-flight documents and underwent my post-flight breath analyzer test. And that officially ends the flight duty for all of us. But wait, I still have a long way to go. And where am I headed to? Well, don't worry, I'm not operating another sector. Officially, we get a break of about 120 hours, that is roughly about 5 days after any ultra long haul flight. And that takes me back to my native Chennai, a city in South India. Not only me, most of the pilots operating ultra long haul flights head back to the native in these 5 days. Though it was a short flight of about 40 minutes, because of the fatigue level, I felt the flight was never ending. It was about 7:30 in the morning, bright and sunny, and now I was craving for some nice South Indian food. My place is roughly about an hour's drive from the airport. Luckily, being early in the morning, we could skip the traffic. After completing my post-flight breath analyzer test in Bangalore, I roughly had to wait for about an hour at the airport to catch my flight to Chennai, then 1 hour of flying time to Chennai, plus 1 hour of commuting time from the terminal to my residence. That's roughly about 24 hours now. And with this, perhaps I could say this was the longest day of my life. And remember, next time, if you don't get to fly along with your check-in luggage, the outside air temperature and the atmospheric conditions could be one of the reasons. So that's all for today, guys. I hope the vlog was interesting and you all learned something new. And of course, do share your travel experience in the comment section of this vlog. I would love to read them. And in case of any query, do not hesitate to get in touch with me on Instagram. Probably it might take a while for me to get back to you. That's because of my tight schedule. But be rest assured, I would get back to you. And do not forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And thank you all for your love and support. I'll see you all in the next one. Till then, bye-bye. Stay blessed.